when so anyway, when you're looking at the model, the first thing I always like to do is I like to start from the inside out. So generally speaking, that is, and I'm sorry, Brian, I can't do that. I'm happily taken.
What, you want to see more paint instead of more Dr. D?
More paint. More paint.
Less Tam and more Dr.
Less Tam.
I knew
more
they wanted
paint.
to see less Tim. That's why I left.
All right, so obviously you can't paint the internal organs of something, so you go out to the next layer, which is the skin.
It sounds like quitter talk.
Yeah, well, you are stupid. I just brought literally a bag of paint. And I'm going to make a big old mess. Can confirm one paint exploded.
How about that? How about that? Is that what you're looking for? Did Daddy fix it?
I don't know what paint that is.
Gorgeous. So, Dr. D.
Yeah. I don't know what paint exploded. Anyway.
What do you do? Well, like, what's the go-to when a paint explodes? Is the bottle salvageable?
Maybe. Maybe you just go to Monument Hobbies and use the code Professional Casual at checkout to buy yourself a new paint bottle.
Oh, that'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, it's pretty swanky.
Man, this setup's really wet now.
Yeah, well,
So the old wet setup.
sometimes you make some boo-boos. Like Bob Ross once said. He said, do it right the first time or I'm going to stab you.
He was actually very famous for saying that. An
Glass.
ex-Marine, I believe.
It's acrylic. Can you tell it's acrylic? See, acrylic.
That's
You gotta slap it on your hand a whole bunch of times to make sure it's
That
acrylic
looks
or
like
not.
cardboard to me.
Yep. All right, anyway, so doggo. What we're going to do is we're going to start from the inside out. I'm going to paint him like an orange doggo. Dogs, at least corgis, are usually either black or brown or dark or like black. Or what am I talking about? Black or brown, and then they usually go up to like an orange. So this is one of my favorite paints of all time. It's actually, funnily enough, a GW product. Never thought I'd say that. Which is Scrag Brown. Scrag Brown is easily... Thank you, Alyssa.
It's a wet up.
It is easily one of the best paints for painting yellows, a lot of different kinds of browns, and like I use it for leather and stuff all the time. So this, if there's one color that GW still makes that's really good, it's definitely Scrag Brown. I use it for like all kinds of things. So whenever you're painting,
What are some of the other things that you're going to use Scrag Brown for?
like a lot of times, like I said, almost all my yellows has it in some form or another. A lot of the leathers that I use, that because like I'm painting Soviets, like World War II historical type stuff, which is mostly like browns and greens. Anytime you go into like historical, unless it's like Napoleonic, Kara can confirm. I use a lot of it. But anyway, so I brought just a random assortment of brushes, and I also brought something I use for like stippling and dry brushing that I think might still be in my bag, which I'll grab in a second. Yeah, that's true. I'm going to be using bad brushes a lot more than people tend to think. So this brush has been like a tried and true, which is they used to be called bomb wicks. They're not called bomb wicks anymore, but I still call them that. This is a some number because I've been using it so much that it fell off, so figure it out.
I mean, like other
I'm
like,
not your dad.
like household uses. Like if you add some texture paint to the Scrag Brown, can you brush your teeth?
I use this as an alarm clock.
Okay.
It hasn't worked once, though.
Oh, gotcha.
So anyway, yeah, he slaps them on there. I guess we're going to find out how usable this is. So mix in a little bit of water. This is going to be a base coat, so it still applies to everything that Bob Ross says that a thin paint has to have a thick paint to stick to, which is why a lot of people have problems with like yellows and brighter colors because they don't do the foreplay, for
I'm
lack
leaving.
of a better term. Goodbye, Tim. Anyway, so, oh God, there's a lot of stuff. If I start working off the camera, it's probably going to happen. So when it comes to stuff like this, you're probably going to need a couple coats, especially with your thicker things, just because you want something for it to stick to. And then at this point, usually I'm listening to like terrible country music or watching some kind of YouTube video of somebody playing a game that I'm too much of a chicken to play. A lot of horror game stuff.
All right, the A team's here.
Oh, hey, man.
What's going on?
Just painting.
What end of the brush you use?
What end of the brush?
Yeah.
The one with the bristles.
You're already ahead of Tim.
Oh, you gotta hate it when that happens. Yeah, you know what? If I start using industry terms, maybe you'll actually understand them.
Well, I'll understand them. I can't do them.
But you at least know what the word is.
Right. Yeah. I hang around a lot of really good painters.
Tisdale, by the way, definitely one of the pillars of hobbying, because he helps run one of the best events on the planet Earth. Which, what was the attendee number for the last Adepticon?
Over 8,000. We do
8.
know that.
So Vegeta himself is getting close to being really jealous of it.
Right? Over 9,000 next year, hopefully.
It's coming. Prince of Saiyans? More like Prince of Dumb.
My wife says she's flattered that I hang around good hobbyists. She taught me all I know. She's an incredible painter, and I'm like, hey, can you help me paint this stuff? She's like, no, you need to learn.
Listen, pain is the best way to learn.
It is. It really is.
What do you mean, Kara? What are you asking? What am I doing? I'm painting.
She's never seen you paint before?
No, never.
You hide it from her?
I sure do.
That's what I would
ashamed.
do.
Actually, I hide everything from my loved ones. I'm doing the wizard doggo.
How do you like that acrylic wet palette? Have you ever used one before?
Acrylic what?
Wet palette.
Oh, yeah.
The acrylic palette. I've never used one.
This one I've never used before.
Have you ever used an acrylic palette before?
No.
Okay.
I've only ever used wet palettes or just like regular easels, I guess.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, we're dry, super easy. So when I lived in Florida, which is where I lived the majority of my life, it's definitely where I started painting. Since it's so humid in the air,
Yeah.
you can kind of get away with a lot of stuff like that. But if you live in somewhere like Arizona or like a hotter climate, there's beer painting and stuff. So in those areas, I would say it's almost a requirement that you have something like a wet palette.
Are you laying down your flesh tones right now?
Hobo palettes. Right now is the base coat for the fur.
The fur.
We're probably going to do an orange. I'm not sure. I don't actually think I brought an orange. Oh, I do. I have an orange red. No. I'm probably gonna
You're an artist. If you didn't bring an orange,
I could make one. Yeah,
make
one. Yeah, that's one of the advantages.
Tim can only make one by going to buy one.
You know, it's different.
Wet palettes are for cowards, apparently.
That's fair. So both of our significant others are in the chat heckling us. That's good.
Right?
That's good. That's how you know you have a good, solid support.
And is this for a game system, or is this just a standalone model?
This is just a model that I picked up at Adepticon. We were doing our last walk on the Sunday just before the vendor hall closed, and a buddy of mine, his name's Ernie, he found some chibi Predator models. So it was Ernie,
Nice, yeah.
Arnie, Dylan, ironically enough, and I want to say it's the guy with the big gunner, who the sexual Tyrannosaurus guy, who like spits out of the side of his mouth. I forgot his name, but it's that character. And he's a big 80s movie action fan, so as soon as he saw him, he's like, "Yeah, I need these." And so since I stopped, I saw these models, and I was like, "Oh, I bet Kara would love to paint these. I should get these and do like a painting tutorial," because I had just picked up Rogues.
Does she like painting chibi models?
She's kind of, honestly, she's here to like listen to me. She just kind of paints whatever. So like if we're playing a game, like we've been playing Cyberpunk lately, so I feel like her painting choices are inspired by things that she just kind of likes. So there was a Cerebus Corgi model that came with this.
Yeah.
So a 3-headed one, and she saw that, she's like, "I want to paint this," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
How does she feel about Marvel United? And painting a full Kickstarter.
I don't think she's down for that. I'm not so sure. Maybe you could ask her. She's here. Oh, nice high. Doggos with the fur.
No, that is the GW holder that has been spray painted.
Yes,
Yeah, ours are black.
because I will airbrush primer. Because
I can't use an airbrush in the house. My wife won't let me.
well, that's listen. We all have certain things in life we have to overcome. That's
She didn't let me use brushes for the longest time. I had to use my fingers.
so funny joke. When I first started painting, yeah, Kara doesn't like paint cheese.
Oh, okay. You know how you start to like things. You just do them over and over again.
That's true. That's fair. So when I first started painting, we started with 40K, like most people do. So my buddy brought me to Sci-Fi City, which is finally closed. It finally closed down in Orlando, Florida. And I bought a box of Cadians. It was the very first box that I guess I didn't buy it. Right? You know how money works when you're a kid.
You stole it.
I guess I stole it.
Yeah, you're from Florida. You just took it.
I just took it like a man.
You robbed him with a serrated kitchen knife and just ran out with it.
I was only in middle school. It's crazy how you learn so fast. So anyway, I started painting with a toothpick because I couldn't afford because I didn't have brushes or anything, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I bought the box and I was like, oh wait, you have to build and paint these.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you see it on the box and you're like,
Oh yeah, it must be a finished
I'll
product.
just assemble it.
Yeah, right.
No.
So like I was big into Legos and stuff, right? So like, oh maybe you build it, whatever. Just didn't even think you would need glue. So we start working on it, and I'm like, oh crud, I need paint and brushes. I can't afford any of that. So I got some toothpicks, and we shared the same bottle of Regal Blue, which was the color I painted my Cadians at the very beginning, which was like a dark blue.
Do you still have those models?
No. So the guy I gave it to still does, who was my
really?
best friend at the time. His name's Rob. He still has them. And I don't think he's painted over them. So every once in a while I see him and I'm like, man, I've come a long way.
Do you ever want to have like one of the original models you painted?
No.
So one of the first models that I painted completely by myself was the Hulk from MCP, from start to finish.
Yep.
He doesn't look great. His skin's a little patchy and stuff, but I leave it there because I'm like, it shows where I came from and where I'm at now. And it shows me that progression.
For sure.
So I like it a lot.
First Rogue Hobbies model, Orange Red. I've already used this one. You can always tell if you've used a...
What's Heroic Hobbies? Is it like Monument but different?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna say things wrong all the time.
That's all right.
I'm a distracted individual. So whenever you do mixing, I always like to keep them separate so that you can kind of gradually increase the saturation and yada yada. Again, because since this is a glass palette, you're probably gonna have a little bit more trouble keeping things hydrated.
You mispronounced cardboard.
As I often do. I'm making so many mistakes. So gradually just mixing in a little bit of that into the base color. Now, when you get to the extreme highlights especially, what you'll notice is you'll just kind of want to tint colors just so that you tie it into. It's really, really important, especially for something like white, which we'll might get to while we're here. Well, everybody's going to improve on that. So, because this is a dog and fur, generally speaking, isn't really considered smooth, you could paint it either way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it a little bit rough on like a sketching type style, just because of the fact that dog fur is usually not smooth, especially if this guy's been out on an adventure. So, generally speaking, you want to think about where the light is coming from. So let's just, I always say top and to the right of the model. So like if it's facing this way, my brush over here, this would be the light source.
Do you ever do the two-tone priming where you spray it with a gray or white for...
Yeah, I will for certain models. It's not my favorite way to do it. I feel like it's a waste of time most of the time because there's certain points
But if
where...
you're a novice, it'll give you an idea of where the light should hit, right?
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of times, if you're like... If you're a straight-up novice, I would say don't even worry about it. But as soon as you're just like, I want to get to that intermediate level, that is almost like the first thing you would want to do.
Yeah.
It's just to start learning light values. But there's definitely a certain point where you're just like, yeah, whatever, just paint it. Just put paint on them. So what I'm doing now is, because this is the mid-tone, you just you slap it almost everywhere. Almost everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's a great way to do it as well. You hold it up to a light bulb and take a picture where you want the light to hit the model.
Yep, that's a good idea too. Yeah. Generally speaking, that's too much work for me. So I'm not too that worried about it. Make sure you get the little toe beans.
They're paw pads, not toe beans.
Okay. Is that only cats?
I don't care what cats are called.
That's fair.
Dogs only.
Doggos for life. Get a nub. Get a little tail nub. I have a dog who is a corgi. His name is Thor. If you ever hear me talking on certain things, I might talk about something called my chunk, and that is Thor. He has.
It's not suggestive. It is.
It
the
is
dog.
not. It is actually a dog.
We have a dog that is half mutt, half chupacabra.
Is it?
Her name is Minnie.
Is it like short for mini devil or something like that?
No, we had a bigger dog at the time who has since passed, and she was a smaller version.
Guys, get yourself something nice, courtesy of the Dice Daddies.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Dice Daddies, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody.
Dice Daddies.
Yeah,
That's pretty swanky.
yeah.
Toe beans. Your wife disagrees with you.
Yeah, she does. She disagrees with me a lot. She's usually right.
That's their that's the job of
Right.
a female significant other.
Right? It sucks how much they're right.
All right, so if I lick the brush, there are definitely people out there who have like strong opinions about it. I don't care. I'm gonna lick the brush.
Yeah, if you don't lick your brush, you're doing it wrong.
So for certain blends and all that stuff, you have to have a certain ability. You have to have a certain amount of water break. So human saliva has something in it called lipase, which is used to break water tension, so that your body can digest fats, essentially, which is why it's called lipase. It's also used to kill bacteria. So technically speaking,
Scarlet, it's not going to be for a long time. Don't worry about it. It's a slow death over many years.
yeah, it'll just go to my brain first.
Yeah.
I won't even know who I am before I die. You know? I'll die long before my body gives out. So this red might be a little bright for this kind of fur. Maybe it might be a little bit too like on the orange side, but whatever. That's what makes
looks good.
That's what dogs. That's what makes dogs beautiful. Is that they're all different.
And they're not cats. That's what
That's
makes
all,
them beautiful.
That's also true.
Tim's a cat person, so it's one of the many things wrong with him.
He doesn't have dogs, does he?
Yeah, no. And he won't get one. Lindsay asked him for one, and he refuses.
What the flip flop? All right, well, we're starting a new movement.
She was like, can we get a dog? And he bought 2 more cats. It was insane. I don't understand. He probably didn't buy them. He stole them, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, coming from upstate.
because Tim doesn't buy anything.
That's true. Well, if he did that, I mean...
We went over for dinner, and he just was like, oh, my wallet's over there. And he just walked out of the restaurant and made me pay for everything.
What a guy.
As soon as... And he can hear when the card runs. When he hears the beep, he comes right back. He's like, hey, I'll pay for mine now.
Oh, you already got it? That was so nice of you. Thank you.
He's like, great job.
I know I've been gone for the past 55 minutes, but,
Yeah. He's like, I got tired of standing in that hallway.
You gotta want it. You gotta want it. Okay, so we've worked in some red. He's looking kind of neon. That's fine.
Now, are you going to wash this, or are you just going to build color?
All right, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to become a better painter, first learn about light values. You're going to have to give up washes. I'm sorry. If you don't agree with me...
You do sound like my wife. I hate this.
Washes are like I don't want to call them a crutch, but
My wife does.
Okay, so Tisdale's wife thinks that they're... Okay, see, I feel the same way about contrast, but it's like a whole other thing.
She threw all my contrast paints out. She was like, you just bought those? I was like, yeah, and she just threw them in the trash.
Right in the garbage.
Yep.
So it's okay to have them, but if you're just like, oh, my entire paint scheme relies on them for cowards and babies. Baby game. All right, so anyway, this is about the mid-tone. So what I usually do is I'll usually have like 4 layers. I like high contrast. So this right now is probably roughly 50-50. Honestly, I don't even really think about it anymore. Most of the time, I just start slamming paint. Like, there's definitely a point where you're just like, I don't really care anymore.
Well, your skill level builds to the level you can do anything with it. Once you get the base paint down, you can take it wherever you need to.
Right. So if you listen to Tim, if you're just having like a couple paints with these 2 paints, by the way, you should cover about half of the palette. Mm-hmm. It should just be smeared all over this.
Just dump half the bottle of paint out when you get there. Yeah,
exactly. So
they should only last you 2 sessions.
For sure, every bottle. So when you do that, go to Monument Hobbies and use the code PCN or Professional Casual at all checkout. Professional Casual at checkout to get yourself a swanky discount.
Maybe they should change it to Professional Paint Waster.
Yeah, for sure. So, and that's the thing. You said Millie's your wife's name? No, Millie was your dog. What's your wife's name? Did you say it?
No, it's Trish.
Okay, I didn't think you said it. So Trish.
Maleficent in chat.
Right. Trish is right like I was saying, I don't think contrasts and washes are bad, but I do think they will prevent you from reaching the next level.
They really will. Once I put them away, like I started to learn how to develop color.
Yeah.
And how different paint plays on a model.
Correct.
Which I didn't when I did a lot of contrast painting.
And so now, right now, this is probably maybe 75% just regular red orange. The key here is you always want to have just like a splash of the previous color just to kind of tie it in. Honestly, does it make a huge difference? I'm not entirely sure, but in my eyes, for some reason it makes it just click a lot better. So again, it's kind of up to you. I think to me it's necessary, but if you feel like it's an unnecessary thing to just mix in a little bit, whatever, it's up to you. But I have found that it makes it all kind of work together a little bit better. And right now, again, just kind of sticking roughly to where I think that light is coming from. Which again, at this point, you don't really, honestly, if you overthink this part of painting, you're never going to want to paint again. So just put paint on the model. It doesn't matter.
Haven't you done articles on like getting over that initial hump of putting paint on a model and learning, how to sit down and actually do that?
So indirectly, I've talked about it in the probably painting black. I think that was the first one that people really started really adhering to. Where it is a fact that it's just, if you ever are sitting at your desk and you're just like, yeah, I want to paint, but I have to wait until motivation hits me. I'm sorry to tell you that motivation will never come to you unless you put effort in. Effort creates motivation, but motivation will never create effort. So you actually have to just rip the paints out and you got to get started. Now, if you subject yourself to medical research like I do, James Clear, I believe, was the one that wrote a very popular book about habit formation. And he says that in order to create a good habit, you have to reduce this thing called friction. The book is called Atomic Habits. James Clear. Now, one of the very first things you have to do is you have to reduce friction. If your paint stuff is under a desk or whatever and you're trying to hide it from your loved ones or whatever, it's going to be monumentally more difficult to actually start painting. And if you just expect it to get better one day, I'm sorry to tell you that it won't. And so you're either going to fix it or you need to stop making excuses and just kind of accept the reality of the situation. Because I'm tired of hearing about it. It is a good book. Okay, so he's probably a little more on the red scale than I probably would bring it. Now, when you get to end ranges, depending on what kind of model you're painting, this is where you start coming into the thing of what they call saturation. So if you're going to paint realistic looking models, you're going to want to go unsaturated. And if you're going to paint more cartoony or chibi type stuff, you're going to want to go with saturated. Now, unsaturated and saturated are essentially the concept of how much white do you put into it. Now, the sun shoots light beams at us, right, and then we see it, right? That's what the day is. So that light is it's crazy. That light is actually technically it is slightly yellow.
Tim would like you to shut up about the sun.
He doesn't like the sun. He really doesn't like the sun.
Yeah, look at that head. There's no way that thing can tolerate sunlight.
He's gonna get a melanoma on top of that thing.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. But anyway, so
because it sounds like you're rooting for it.
I would never do that. Anyway, so I looked through some of the paints. And if we're going to paint this more chibi version, I'm not going to use white. If you want to heighten the brightness of a color, but you don't have a color that could be better. So if I were to go like pure orange, which I don't actually have. At least I don't think I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a bright yellow ochre, which is, I believe, Flame On. This is one of the ones that you would use for like a non-metal metallic type thing. If you don't want to use that, you could always use like a bleach bone or...
is bleach bone still a color?
Yeah, it is. Oh, Screaming Skull is what it's called. It's called Screaming Skull now. Or any kind of like bright bony color. So like heavy warm white, I really like. This was one of the new ones that came out not too long ago. This is the Ben Comets paint thing. This one I've used quite a bit. It's actually really cool. But I might get to that later. So I'm gonna use bright yellow ochre just because it's a dog, and ochre-y. Well, it might tone down the orange a little bit.
How Monument works with these paints, with these artists to develop these new paints is a super cool thing they do too. It's very interesting to see what these people come up with.
One trick I've learned with these bottles is squeeze out a little, not a lot, close it, because when you do it, these sriracha type bottles are going to push it out.
Yep.
Whatever you do, don't rip this thing off and then squirt 3 things in this like someone else in the network has done, and Tim will remain nameless.
I think we just named Tim as
No.
the one who did it.
Well, I don't know. How do you know it was Tim I was talking about?
I watched the stream. It was horrendous. You could have painted a bathroom with how much paint he put on that palette.
So anyway, as you can see now, it's kind of turning into like a brighter orange, and we're using like this ochre's kind of like a dirty yellow. So you mix it in there, just kind of figure out wherever you want it. Since we're only painting one model at a time, you don't have to really worry too much about it drying too fast or whatever. Now, since we're doing highlights, you want a little bit more control. Now, again, I'm using some just like crappy brush that I have used way too much. You do not need fine brushes to do like fine detail. Now, if you're doing something like a dog fur, again, that you kind of maybe want it to look a little rough, it works out. If you want something where, you want the detail to be so sharp you could stab somebody with it, well, then get a brush that's a little sharper.
What brush are you using? What brand?
So these are Bomb Wicks. So these are Monument Hobby brushes before they kind of did that rebrand.
Oh, yeah.
So I still use Bomb Wicks. I still refer to them as Bomb Wicks, and then every single time I do, people are like, "What? What is that?" Because I did it in one of the times that Tim was painting. I was like, "Oh yeah, get a Bomb Wick," and he was like, "The what?" I just licked the brush. So what this is going to do is it's going to... I lost something. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. I can't hear me. Okay, I can hear me again.
Can you hear you?
I can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Is that game still going on?
So, yeah, anyway, so what happens when you break the water tension?
Schedule start at 2:30. Are you tired of Dr. D already, Alyssa? Because that's rude.
I didn't spend all day in a hot plane.
You didn't. You just spent a chunk of your morning.
Yeah,
that's not all day.
That's true. That's fair.
Words matter.
That's very true. So when you do that, when you break the water tension, you can also do it with soap. Soap technically has the same kind of water tension breaking reaction. What it does is it will make the paint more like translucent, so that the color underneath it will appear more like through the paint. So again, you want to kind of stick to the painting direction of where the sun is coming from, and you want to put the brush down and you want to pull it towards where the light is coming from. So in this situation, this might actually be a model I use a wash on because I might want to tone down the red just a tiny bit, like maybe with a brown wash. But whatever. He's a magic dog. So when you start incorporating magic, you can get away with a lot of things because of the fact that magic breaks the rules of reality. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything, give me a heads up. No. Probably no Tim painting. He's being a little turtle. He's doing shy. He doesn't want to come out of the shell. Little painting shell.
In other news, Tim still sucks.
It's true.
I just checked with him.
So as paint, so it's a Saturday. So if I wasn't doing anything, like
We're-
event wise,
We're guests here, so we cannot have Tim paint. We can't get it on the carpet or the walls or anything like that. Like, there's Adepticon terrain here too. We can't let Tim around a paintbrush with Adepticon terrain.
if you actually the people, if they come too close to the here, they got to put on like one of those ponchos.
Yes.
A spray poncho.
It's like a what was that? What was that guy who used to smash the watermelon?
Gallagher. Yeah,
Gallagher. Yeah, it's like a Gallagher show when Tim paints. He just cuts the bottle in half and just throws it everywhere.
It's a blue man.
Maybe splash zone tape around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right by all the camera equipment and everything.
Did Alyssa say she hates me yet?
Yeah, Alyssa hates you.
I knew it. I knew it. The thing is like every day for like almost a month, I was talking to one of my Magic 8-Ball, and I'd be like, "Does Alyssa hate me?" And I would shake it, and
And what did it say?
said, "How the hell am I supposed to know?" And
That's
it said
what all the sides of the Magic 8
yeah,
balls say?
every single one. Yeah, it was weird.
It must be one of those Boston Magic 8 balls.
What do I look like? A friggin' map?
It either says, "Where's Duncan?" or "Alyssa still hates you."
Oh my god.
You want another?
It's just trash.
I am much more controlled with my paint than that.